And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. Huddersfield 0, Leicester 1. Another win, 3 wins in a row. We've got Mike calling from the Fellow Foxes podcast. Mike, what do you make of that game?
It was tense. It was very tense. I was nervous for a lot of the game, I'll be honest. I believed the whole time. I believed because you could see they got the chances, but it was tense for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. There was parts of it where it was tense. There was part of it where, again, I think we have to give credit to Huddersfield. I mean, considering coming into this game, I was thinking, okay, they're a championship side. Neil Warnock, I know what he's about. Some of the performance, and they took it to Leicester. And on another day, kind of like Coventry, but I didn't expect them to have that level of quality. They didn't let us be the big. They came at us, and on another day, they could have got a couple more goals.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like teams have identified us as, if we're going to try one game this season, it's going to be the Leicester game or, the maybe Southampton. But definitely it seems every team is tailoring their approach to try and pinpoint weaknesses. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it. I'm sure you have some tactics analysis, but they were doing a good job on a couple key things that Leicester really use in their buildup. And you got to credit them, like you said, for their approach.
Yeah, I think they did really well in terms of that approach. We'll get into some of the starting lineups at the beginning, but what surprised me, try and get the graphic up at the moment, but what really surprised me is the fact that they were playing, McAteer was outside, apparently it was a knock,
Yeah.
and secondly, Marcel Madivadua got his second start as well. So just coming into that, what did you make of him in the game?
He was actually one of the players that I thought did amazing in the game. I mean, he still has some developing to do. You can see it in certain aspects of his game, but in terms of his positioning, in terms of his ability to just recognize sometimes when to take on a player and when not to, he's definitely getting more into his role in this team, and I'm very, very excited for him.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a load of good stuff compared to the what was it called? Compared to the game against Burton, there's a lot more good stuff to analyze because a lot of that was in like a training game. This one, however, there is a lot more. I really enjoyed some of the football we were playing. However, just in the beginning, looking at that formation, are you surprised that Iheanacho got the start over Vardy? Because coming into the game, obviously had a great game against Burton. And the fact that he's trusted then time later to put his stamp on the game and to perform, do you think it was surprising that he was started ahead of Jamie Vardy?
I don't. If you looked at what he did when he came in the Coventry game, for example, he was very good at the hold-up play. I mean, he was backing into those Coventry defenders and just kind of swatting them off like they weren't even there. So I wasn't surprised. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more analysis later, but he definitely was one of the players that was a little like for me in terms of how he performed overall. He did some good things, but he also had some moments.
He did. And this is the thing where you get with Iheanacho. For me, you get some of the times where he's so frustrating. We'll get onto some of the specific moments later on. But at the same time, he's taking on two players, getting past them. He's taking on the ball. He's the 1-2s he was playing with his back to goal, bringing other people into the game. I thought was just sublime. I genuinely do. And he is frustrating. I think we've known that since he's joined. But when he turns it on, he will have this kind of game in the future. And I think all that's missing is just a goal, and people will forget about how clumsy he's been in the game.
I mean, he's definitely tailor-made to play in the false nine, come back and drop into the ball position. It seemed like some of his decision making in the game. I don't know if Maresca gave him like a directive that he's supposed to, whenever he feels, just try to shoot it and take it on yourself, because it seemed multiple times in the game he did that. But generally speaking, his play style is very well suited for this, and I thought he was going to have a breakout game. I definitely, again, he had some great moments, and he does some things in the system that are absolutely necessary that, even when we saw when Vardy came on, maybe he didn't do as well. And in the first game for sure didn't do as well. But overall, definitely the better of the two forwards for this system.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons there's rumours at the moment that he's going to sign an extended deal. Again, he's in his last year of contract, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. Coming into it, and I've remember a couple of times there was some love There was some really good play by, again, Marcel Manivadua coming into this game. I think there was some really good passing, especially in that first half. But there was a couple of times where he got in good positions and the forwards got in a good position, but we were just lacking that final pass or that cutting edge just to finish it off. And that was, for me, frustrating. But they're getting into opportunities, which what we want. They're just not finishing the chances.
Yeah, I mean, you could see, especially when they were drawing Huddersfield very deep into our box. And usually I think it would stem from a pass from the goalie, just either going through the middle. I know that Hermanson was much better at this because he would do these balls on the ground and they would just fizz right into the player. Stolarczyk has some work to do with his feet, but and I'm sure that's a point you have in your notes as well. But definitely the opportunities were there. I mean, there was points where they made that one breakout pass from just before the halfway line, and it was wide open. There was 2, 3, 4 passing options sometimes, and that, like you said, they just didn't sometimes, or a lot of the time actually, didn't really pick the right option.
Mm-hmm. They didn't pick the right option, and they didn't make the most out of it. But the thing is, they're getting in those positions. When they're not getting in the positions and they're just scuffing the chances, it's something that we'll work on, in my opinion, with Enzo coming in. And the more that they work, I've said before that it'll take 6 months for them to really get in the flow of things. But the fact is, we're getting the right formation. We're getting the wins. That's the more important thing. And you can see that in the first, coming into the first half, there's one chance just after that, 23 minutes. Pratt went beautiful 1-2, 1-2.
Oh yeah,
Through the middle. I still don't know how he doesn't score that.
Me either, man. I was screaming at my TV at that point because again, it was one of these moves where you could see that they worked it exactly the way I feel like Maresca is asking them to. And he says, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to have a wide open opportunity. And it just it depends on who gets it. It killed me. I was cheering, but it killed me because you could see they created like, I think 3 or 4 of those. Maybe not the wide open on the goalie, but in terms of these wide open moves that had so many options, you can see it coming through, and it's very exciting. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, something's happening here. Oh.
My laptop has froze at the moment. Apologies.
Okay. You're good. You're good. Do you want to dance a little bit?
It's. I can see you now. I can see now. It's all come back. It just went completely robotic for a second there. I do need a new laptop, to be honest. But it's struggling with StreamYard. So I didn't hear any of that, but good analysis. I'll thank you for that. But yeah, and there was another one just after that. So he goes through, and then it was the other side of it. Huddersfield, Mr. Absolute Sitter. Nobody's picking him up. Ball. Madividi gets beat, whips it across, and I'm thinking that's a goal. Somehow, I forgot what the Huddersfield player name is. Completely misses, and I'm going right. They've got away with it there, and we've got away with it there. But I still, even at that point, I don't know how it was still 0-0.
Yeah, I definitely know that if this was a better team, we probably would have at least went behind there at the minimum. But you can see that there's still these wrinkles in the system. I think I talked about it on my last episode. It seems like there's yes, the Fellow Foxes podcast. Please subscribe. It seems like there's a gap between the back line and the midfield in transition that is just so wide that these, they're once a certain, I guess, defensive play is missed on our side, it's off to the races for the other team. So yeah, my heart was in my throat on that one. Thank goodness that we're in the championship and that wasn't a Premier League team.
Yeah, and by the time, hopefully, we're still early days yet, if we get back to the Premier League, we'll have ironed out some of these points by now. It's still early days. We're still learning. And shout out to Brad again. Brad's here as well.
What's up, Brad?
I Die. Take Brad. Take a clean sheet, and we're still in first gear. Do you think we're still in first gear? I would say we're not at full capacity. This team's got a lot more competitive. But thanks for the comment, Brad. don't think we're quite in first gear. However, 3 wins in a row is still fantastic.
Yes, 3 wins in a row. I'll take it. Like I said, clean sheet, like he said. It's you don't want to be giving up goals. I'm sure Enzo is an Italian, is very strong about his defensive ideas, despite coming from the Pep school of wizardry. But it's definitely not seeming like first gear to me either. It's seeming like, and I wrote a couple things down for my analysis of the first half. It just seemed like they're having a hard time finding these chances when they're maintaining possession in the final third. I know that the chance that we got at Coventry, it seemed like not a fluke, but I mean, you can't count on KDH getting up in the air and heading those balls in all the time to put us ahead to make then our system of play much more potent. But it's definitely seeming like he's got some things to work out in terms of when they're in the final third, some different patterns of play, different movement off the ball. But some of the movement off the ball in the build-up still was fantastic. So I'm not going to slag anyone off.
No, exactly, and I love the UK slang there as well. That's fantastic.
Oh man, I'm one of your own.
Love it. Just get into the comments again. Ants in the comments. Again, make sure you subscribe to the Ants Leicester fan channel. Again, just hit 4K subscribe. So really, really good. We know it's 2 games in, mate. I know Ants actually was saying something. He's got Iheanacho to score 30 goals in the championship this season. He's got a bet on it, which again, it's brave, but it's not. I wouldn't have put that bet on, but good luck. Hopefully, make some money out of it as well.
Those are league goals. League goals.
And let us know. Oh, is it 20 goals? Okay, never mind. Is it in the Prem or is it just in the Prem? Force of habit. Is it in there as well? Let us know, man. And then also we have another friend from again Australia.
Yo,
I've been trying to reach out to you, but your comment was on YouTube Kids mode, so I couldn't put a comment in. But would love to get you on. I'd love to get you on these podcasts as well. Saw your video, it was great. Make sure you subscribe to Leicester City Down Under. It's Reese's first video as well. Welcome to the Leicester City community. More channel as well. It's the opposite way. It's StreamYard.
My coordination embarrassing
as well. But yeah, again, so coming into the second half, going okay. 0-0, but coming into the second half, coming into the first half, what do you think? This was an opportunity missed, or this was a good opportunity we could have capitalized more on it, or were you satisfied? Because how did you feel about the first half going into it?
Just based on the first half and how it kind of ended up. I mean, we definitely created a lot of amazing chances, but you can see we needed to finish them. So when I described this match as tense for me, it was because you could see that the patterns of play are coming off, but the finishes weren't coming. So it was definitely something where, like, second half, you're like on the edge of your seat, like, oh man, are we going to get those chances again? Are we going to finish them if we do? And then I was hoping that Maresca maybe had a little bit of a talk with Kel, because I love him. I love him. But he's got to dish the ball sometimes, man. And I'm gonna put my hands up. If you got an order from the coach, he said, "Look, you look up. You got a rocket on you. You feel like it." But I thought hopefully we got an idea in the second half to come out. Kelechi especially saying, "Look for those passes on the wings when you get through the middle." And I was hoping I was going to see Marcel do something really nice, because he got a few opportunities when he broke through and he just wasn't making those decisions. So again, I'm hoping Maresca's like saying, keep your head up, look around, make these passes. But I was optimistic going into the second half for sure.
Me too. And especially you mentioning that point where I think it was 43 minutes, Iheanacho, brilliant, really good run up, gets one past one another. Then just on that left-hand side, you've got the option there of Mavididi, just that he just needs to lay it off nice and he'll put it in the back of the net. He didn't do it and it went flying over the bar. And that was probably the moment where I was like, come on, man, we are so close, but this is where it takes time. But also this is kind of what to expect with Iheanacho for a little bit, because he will make these opportunities up as well. So yeah, I'm with you. I think coming into the second half, I don't know about you, I was surprised we started slow again. I don't know how many times, if it's going to be, I was surprised again. We were playing well the second half and they didn't switch on. Luckily, we didn't get capitalized on it like last time, but they just started too slow. And I'm like, I'm really enjoying this team, but that's a moment we really got to work on.
And especially because we kicked it off in the second half. We had the ball, and that's a golden opportunity to have made halftime adjustments and implement them immediately, and hopefully catch the other team off guard. Because it seemed like in the first half for a little while, maybe towards the end of the first half, it trailed off, but it seemed like we were doing a lot of long balls. It seemed like Doyle was looking long a lot, and Vestergaard was looking long a lot. And I was hoping in the second half, and you could see it maybe early on, once they started to come out of their lull, that they started doing these first time passes in midfield, especially I think between Ricardo and Winks, where they'd be very close and just ping back, and then little triangles in there. So I was definitely worried that they started slow, but they started to come out of it when you saw that, and I was very happy.
Yeah, I mean, if they were a little bit more clinical side, this is what we're going to get with a championship. They would have gone ahead, in my opinion, because we just didn't look at it. And it's something we've mentioned before. They just started the second half and even the first half last year slow, and we just need to get that out of the system because teams will punish you, and it's not something that we can keep getting away with because we're relying on the opponent not turning up rather than us playing well.
Yeah, that's not something you want to bet on because again, with what teams think of us and the target that's on Leicester's back, I'm sure every manager and every fan base and every member of the coaching staff for these teams, especially teams like Huddersfield who struggled last season. I know Warnock just came in and saved them from being relegated, but for teams like that who are looking for something to grab onto in a season, they're all looking at us. So it's not something that you can expect to keep getting away with because they're going to be drilling it. And again, just to double down on that, teams now going forward will take these clips from these games and say, look, there's a chance. Don't I'm sure they'll run extra finishing drills in the week leading up to playing Leicester because they'll say these teams are getting chances, but they're not putting them away. So it's something that needs to be cleaned up for sure.
No, I'm with you. And hopefully going forward that will be the case. But it's something that we definitely need to work on. And just there was something else that, especially in the second half, for me, I was just coming in the second half. We started slow, and there was points where Huddersfield were all over us. We started to then play round the back, which I'm okay with because we're taking the pressure out of the game. But we gave away sloppy passes in critical positions where I'm going, this has to be. So again, you're mentioning Winks and Ricardo. There was a 1-2, and next thing they know, Ricardo's lost it. They're on the counter attack. And when you've got somebody like, we'll talk about Fast, I think he had a phenomenal game.
Yes, he did.
You've got Doyle, who I think had a good game, but Vestergaard, you just see them panic a little bit and go, what was there? Because they're running on at times. 3 attackers of theirs were coming onto our back 3, and it was a 1v1 situation where it was frustrated how sloppy the passing was. Not for long periods of time, but for times I was like, okay, this keeps happening now.
Yeah, and it seemed like they were doing a decent job of pressing in the beginning of the second half to cause those mistakes. Like I said, I think they were getting very close up to the goalkeeper in the back line so that they were taking away those passes to the center back, especially, Vestergaard, it seems like the quarterback of the defense passing. And they were just taking those options away. So Stolarczyk, I think multiple times was forced to kick it long in a position where maybe Hermansen would find a closer pass or a ground pass, and he put it in the air and turned it over. And then Huddersfield were on their way. It definitely is something where having Hermansen back, I feel like will alleviate some of that. Having Cody back, I think will alleviate some of that. And Foss, I mean, what can you say about some of the saves that he made in this game? Foss was completely dominant at times. He was, the last man on guard multiple times for these turnovers that we're talking about. And in the end, if he hadn't made some of these slide tackles and these kind of shrug offs with the strength that he has, I think Leicester would have been in a lot, more trouble than they ended up. Looks like we get a freezing option again. So I'm just going to keep going on some of the stuff that I saw. Definitely, getting into like the, 50, 60th minute. We have some Huddersfield had some good chances. They had a corner. They had a set piece. But it seems like they were giving up a decent amount of set pieces. Not good for someone in the position we were in last season, because we gave up a lot of set piece goals and a lot of corner goals. So it seems like we're giving up a decent amount still. We're not giving up as many goals. Unfortunately, we gave up one against Coventry, but yeah, we definitely need to figure out a way to stop giving away so many cheap fouls. Took a lot of yellow cards today too. Oh, are we frozen again? Oh no, Neil. Neil. Oh, there he is. Jamie Vardy, right there. Just keep going. Just keep going. All right. So a couple more things I noticed in the second half. Dewsbury Hall was doing something that was kind of iffy for me. He was, it seemed like he was trying to hold people off a lot. He wasn't really maintaining a possession of a lot of that. It seemed like the defenders of the other team were getting around him. I don't think he's big enough to do that personally. I think he needs to maybe learn when to dish that. I know he's great on the ball.
Hold on, mate. I'm just coming back in a second. If you just take over a second, my laptop is
You're
completely
good.
messed up.
You're back.
So
You're
back
back
in just a second.
Well, all right. So I'm going to hold it down for Neil here. Sorry. I'm not nearly as professional as my counterpart here, but we're going to keep it going. So going later into the second half, it seems that, let me see. Yes, we had Vardy come in. That was a big moment in the second half. I think it's a brilliant move personally by Maresca. I think to do back and forth. So Kell start the game. He's very good at holding up. He's really aggravating these defenders, and they're getting used to that being sucked in. And then Vardy comes on, and I think I even saw they were doing these switches where Vardy would drop in, and then KDH would come in next to him, and Vardy would take off right behind him. So it's maybe changing up what these defenders are looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, the laptop completely went mental on me there. No idea why.
That's all right.
But yeah, appreciate you taking over. Yeah, no, I think some of the passing arrangement and some of the, as you were mentioning, the 1-2 balls where it seems to cover. I don't know if you realize this. Like they pull people out of position and they cover 1, 2, 3, 4, and the ball's like one player is off, like Dennis Pratt before, Iheanacho before, Wanyama Madivadua before as well, where they're running into space. You're thinking, how have they done that? And it still surprises me every single time that they've managed to find these spaces, which I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, man. It seems like what he's instilled in them is that as one person makes this run towards the ball, someone runs in that space immediately, and then if it's not on, they like switch back. And again, I saw it with Vardy. It was very cool because I'm not a big tactics person. I never played footy in my life. Very unbalanced, more of a basketball player myself. But yeah, it was very cool to watch these patterns of play come off, especially after the substitution. It seemed like it changed a little bit, but only to suit the difference of Vardy to Kelechi. Oh, happened again. Did I lose you again?
I'm back now.
Yeah.
I've got to sort this out. I have no idea why this is happening. I made sure to shut down everything before this stream. But anyway, we'll try and continue, and I'll try and figure out.
We're gonna go strong.
System. Yeah, just like Leicester at the moment, we're going quite strong. Just want to get into some of the comments. Just give your thoughts as well. Mavi TV saving LCFC. Get Maddie's gem. Got some strong Mavi Diddy comments in there as well. I think especially in the second half, what I really loved as well is that the fact that he was good in the first half, but I think the Huddersfield players started getting really frustrated by him, started giving him tackles. He's got a little bit of a hot head, which I don't mind, but he needs to keep it under control. But they started to push him off the ball, stupid tackles here and there, because they realised he was a threat. And that led up to the goal, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely someone that, we're never going to replace Mahrez, but when you get someone that's willing to take people on one-on-one, and he's getting a little cheeky with people, players get, they get that blood in their eyes and in their mouth, and they're going after him. And he was definitely a couple. I know he did it, I believe, against Coventry towards the end of the game, and he did it again this game on corners. When we're defending corners, he will do this thing where if the ball comes near him, he will kick it ahead of himself and beat the play. And he did it again. And it's just beautiful to see that someone has some dribble skill again with this team. Mabadou is a little bit, but not like Mabadidi. He's definitely got the skill set to frustrate opposing defenses, and like you said, then have them start taking fouls.
Yeah, no, definitely with you. And I think as well, it's just because that shows you the difference between a 25-year-old and a 20-year-old, just in terms of ability. And at times when Casey McAteer, I think he's great as well. He was apparently out with a little bit of a knock, but them two, when they got in the positions, they kind of like, I don't know the right move to make. I don't know the right position to play. And with Mavidi, he goes, leave it to me, give me this, put the ball in. And that's the advantage you'll get from a younger player who will have that. But speaking about another young player that did really well, Callum Doyle, I think the ability to just, he's younger than both the players we were mentioning about, but he plays like he's 25. I think the maturity on him is sublime. His ability to pick a pass on the outside, defend well. He's also, if you look at how he was mentioning Vestergaard and Fassi was telling them what to do, where to move as well. I thought he performed really well in today's game.
Absolutely. He was somebody that was surprising me with this thing he did a couple of times. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Farquad down at Atletico, but he would do this little dribble shimmy and decide whether or not he was going to play that pass up the line or if he was going to go into midfield. And the recognition that he has of which time to play which of those passes is just definitely beyond his years. I'm very much hoping we can grab him on a permanent. Hopefully Enzo works his magic and he gets him in here, but he definitely impressed me for sure. I'm super happy that we sang all the chants we did at the Coventry game.
Yeah, and again, Coventry was booing him, so this is what they get as well for booing him as well. And I think I mentioned before, the fact that he probably got the boos as a 19-year-old. Is like, oh, I spent all last season with you. Now coming into this game, the fact that he goes, okay, I'm understand. This is why I signed. I thought that was really, really good as well. And another player as well, Walt Fass. I think every game there's like a Leicester City bingo we should set up. One of them is a random run from Walt Fass, who pings it down the pitch, and I have no idea where he's going. But as you were mentioning, Lord Farquhar, his hair just ties back, and he's like a Sonic almost, and he's running, and you're like, "Where's he going?" Okay, but I'm with it again. It makes the crowd excited. I thought, but apart from that, I thought he played fantastically today. The 3 games he's played so far, this has definitely been his best game, and I'm really impressed with Walt Fass.
So definitely 2 things about him. Like you said, number one, these runs, which I'll get to secondly, but the defense that he played today was excellent. He saved them multiple times. Multiple times they were getting in behind, or there was a horrible turnover that could have led to a chance, and he comes through with a slide tackle or just kind of bodies someone off the ball or heads the ball away. He was absolutely sublime on defense. And these runs I talked about in my podcast, the Fellow Foxes podcast. Subscribe and like if you can find me. It seems like it's something the coach has like maybe promised these players. He's promised them, if you work hard for me, if you're going to do what I'm asking you to do, there's going to be opportunities for you to have these plays that a normal center back is not going to have. So when and it seems that a lot of times too, if I'm going to use a little bit of my analytical brain, it's on a turnover situation, especially when he turns the ball over. If he steps up into the midfield and turns that ball over, Maresca said, if you see it, go. And I think it was in the Coventry game when he went all the way through, and if he had recognized the cutback from Mabadidi, he could have scored. And I mean, that you don't see that from many teams throwing their center back into the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And these are, eventually, when he keeps doing it, he will score, and that's the thing. Just getting some of the comments around that as well. So Boss looks like he does look like Sideshow Bob actually,
Absolutely.
which I think is brilliant as well. And when he runs, his hair is just amazing. What if I could be the best centre striker? Looks like Martin O'Neill, Matt Elliott days. Yeah, I mean it's completely different style, and it's very old school, that one, but. Yeah, I think it was really good as well. What was I going to mention as well? There was some Terence, I know you're an older fan. This is how we have to play the ball now. This is just the modern style of football. Unfortunately, there is. I was at the ground at Coventry, and there was a forward, get the ball forward, and there's still a part of the fan base that will you'll have to adapt to this modern style. We're winning games. That's the main thing. If you would have said we would play terribly, we hold on to the ball too long, but we win games. Last season, I would have taken it because we would have stayed in the Premier League. We are holding on to the ball, but it's the process. We're getting 75% possession. At times, there's a tactical side to take the sting out of the game and play to the back line. So it's weird, and I still think it will get some getting used to. But the more wins we get, the more, in the same way that when we get the opposition the ball the year we won the league, we had to just it was as expected we back the team more. We've just got to get used to this new system, I think, Mike.
Yeah, and the hard part I can see for fans is the fact that when you see these turnovers, it's very scary, and it's obviously a direct result of this hardline will to play this way. But especially with Hermanson in the game, you could see that when they draw the team all the way up the pitch, it takes that one first time ball into the middle of the field, and then there's three players wide open, one on the left, one on the right, and probably one or two scurrying up the middle. And if we had finished those chances, I feel like these fans that are screaming launch the ball would not be saying that. And I think as the season goes on, they're going to finish these chances, and then that's going to die down, because then we're going to start winning games, 4 and 5-0 against certain teams.
Yeah, I think so. And it was just going to take, again, time to go into that. One more, I think we've got a couple more bits. Well, something we haven't even mentioned so far. The goal. We managed to go 32 minutes. That's actually to the thing that mattered in the game. What did you think of, again, so glad to see Mavididi on the score sheet. A good finish. KDH with another assist, 2 goals and 1 assist for him. In general, I think he was playing really well in the game, and it's what he deserved, because there wasn't much creativity, and there wasn't the final ball. But when we counted on him, like we were talking about Iheanacho earlier, but with Mavididi, he stepped up. And considering he's only been with the squad for just over 2 weeks now, and he's putting his first goal in, I think after the goal, he was like, right, I've got my first goal now. The confidence is coming.
Absolutely. And I love to see it I believe he's right-footed, so I love to see it on a weak foot, low shot into the near post. The goalie's going to be a little upset about that, because I'm pretty sure he got megged on that shot. But again, what you're getting with him is he is signed from a first division team in another league, right? I believe Montpellier. So he has experience. He's English, right?
He's English. He's from around the corner, a few miles away in Derby originally.
That's awesome. It just shows that he had the mindset to be able to go, because a lot of people talk about English players not wanting to go abroad, and when you have someone that will take that chance and get the experience of another league and comes back, he's kind of like a mini leader in this team, because there's a lot of young players. So I love to see him get his goal. I think, like you said, it's going to spur him on to score more and to contribute more, for sure.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think I'm just trying to get up the because I did shut down in the meantime. I did shut down all my browser tabs because I was because to try and get the things up. But just to get it on screen, the average age. Do you want to take a guess of this squad?
I'm gonna say it's 22.
A little bit. It's actually 26.
Oh wow.
From again SofaScore, so about 26 years old, 27 players at the moment. Again, SofaScore is really good for some of the analysis side, but 26 is slightly, again, just players coming into their prime. But we've still got a young squad as part of that, and I don't believe that's including Casidi as well. Casadi. We'll find out when he arrives.
Yeah. We'll hear
How to
someone
pronounce
else
his
say
name.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, let him say it, and then we can always go, and then we can always just go off that. But I think overall, it's a really, really good performance. Wild Fast we mentioned, and then another bit at the end, Jamie Vardy, even though he nearly gets, there was the defender that was closing in, and he just didn't pick up the ball. Jamie Vardy's like, right, I'm straight on it. The goalkeeper has to come out and save it. But it still shows he's got it.
And you know what? Like I said earlier, I think it's an interesting tactic. And I mentioned that I thought there was a different, uh, I guess, pattern of movement off the ball when Vardy came in as opposed to Kelechi Iheanacho. And that's, I think, to capitalize on Vardy's pace because they were having him run off of a inside movement towards the ball of Dewsbury Hall, and he just ran right off the back shoulder a couple of times. So I think it's very interesting to try to get him in this system. He's definitely not going to have the close control that Iheanacho does, but at the same time, he also offers that incredible recognition of where to make his runs, and that'll get defenders when they've been chasing and playing defense for 70% of the game. They're tired, they're worn down. All it takes is one bad decision against Vardy, and he's in.
Yeah, and that's always looking for. And I think with Jamie Vardy, he's still there. He's still in his. He gets in the good position. And what was really good as well, we've seen him a few times. He brings other players into play. I think there was one point just after that. I think 91 minutes. Mavididi gets the ball, and there was a beautiful ball over to KDH. Doesn't quite take it, but Vardy still got the opportunity, and he still got the right movement into the box, which I don't think we quite capitalize on yet, getting the wingers round, so it's just a quick tap in. But he's bringing other players into the game. KDH running off him. Looks like Mavididi was running off him. He's bringing other players into the game as well.
And a lot of people underestimate Vardy's passing ability. I think personally. I mean, even in the championship season, the Premier League season, I think he was whipping in little like crosses. He's not a long passer, but I think he has the ability in the system that if he can just control the ball, he can definitely make, like you said, it looked like almost like an outside the boot ball to Kieran Dewsbury Hall out on that right hand side. So he definitely has the ability. It's just about, I think, him maybe either working on his dribbling or them changing maybe the patterns of play or the runs and movement to adapt to him.
Exactly, and then again adapting and move, and it will just take time, as you were mentioning as well. And then apart from that, that's pretty much it. I think a couple of players come off the bench. Albright and Chowdhury doesn't look like they'll be mainstays in the team, but I think they came on to shut down the game. They realised, right, we've got the 1-0. We need to settle this game out. Mark Albrighton does that, and Chowdhury does that. They're not going to set the Premier League alight. So I keep saying Premier League because I have a force of habit. Championship alight. But they're going to just, again, they're coming on strategically just to finish out the game. I think at times, Chowdhury's moving into almost that centre-back position just to kind of solidify that as well.
And he's a hounder for sure. So when the game is winding down and you're an offensive player that's been trying to score against his team for the entirety of the game, the last person you want to see come clipping at your heels is Hamza Chowdhury. So I love it by Enzo. I love just getting Albright on because I think also what he brings is an experience and a calmness to the team when he comes on because he's done it all with us. So there's no him and Vardy are two of the players that you can look to when things are getting maybe a little iffy at the end of the game or the other team's piling on pressure. They can recognize moments to either advance the play or to slow it down and hold it. So I love seeing Albright still getting some minutes.
Yeah, me too. And just to come back to this again, just so final thing to round up in terms of the table, get the table up at the moment. So Leicester City are not top. We are second top. We're the only two teams currently that have won both of their games. At the moment, I believe everybody else has played. So quite a few teams on. Again, we're the only two teams. Some people got wins and loss. So it's us and Ipswich at the top of the table at this moment in time. Again, they've ahead on literally goal difference. They've scored 2 more goals than us. I think, or they might have, but they've not considered. They've conceded 1 goal as well. But I mean, Brad, Mike, early days, but I mean, this is looking in a good position because you think about it. If we were bottom of the table, we lost 2-0. Things are starting to spiral downwards. At the moment, we've got the platform to build on, and we're moving upwards.
Absolutely, and this is all you can ask from the start of the season. Again, you have fans that might not understand exactly how we want to play, but at the end of the day, it's 2 wins from 2 out of the league and 1 win from 1 out of the cup. So you can't start any better. It's nothing but good for these players because of this new system and how complex it may be or how much time it might take to integrate fully. So if you have them winning, it just reinforces those things that maybe they made mistakes on. Maybe it didn't go exactly the way the manager wanted. But if you get those wins, then it shows, it makes critiquing the mistakes a lot easier.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Winning breeds confidence. Confidence hopefully will bring winning, and hopefully we can continue that into the Cardiff game. I believe just lost 2-0 to QPR today. So again, it's looking positive going into that one. It stopped the count. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're ready to go now, even though I think we would push for that top spot just to get that trophy as well. But again, Mike, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the channel. I've left your Twitter and your YouTube down below, but feel free to plug away as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Neil. I love everything you do. And again, my name's Mike. I host a YouTube called the Fellow Foxes Podcast. I'm on Twitter at LCFC Op-Eds, and I'm a contributor for the Foxes of Leicester. So if you see any of their articles out by LCFC Op-Eds, that is me.
Fantastic. Yeah. So again, make sure you check out again, Brad. So Mike's started his channel, getting confused with Brad in the comments. But again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in after this. So again, Renee and Brad as well. We've got again people that have Tyler, LCFC Down Under. I did see your thing, but again, in terms of Vestergaard, to give it actually just one thing to actually end on. It's a good question. So, so do you think Suits should be ahead of Vestergaard? Because for some reason, they're both 6'6". But what would you, if you had the opportunity, would you start Suter ahead of Vestergaard?
Okay, so I have, unfortunately, a little bit of bias in this debate because I wrote an article for Foxes of Leicester defending Yannick Vestergaard. So if you will just give me a quick moment to defend Vestergaard. Vestergaard only played 10 games for this team. His first few games were absolute gut punches. I think he was pretty good while he was in Germany and played good spells for Southampton. Look, I'm not going to say he didn't have some horror shows there as well, but so did Van Dijk. I've seen some horror shows Van Dijk had at Southampton, so it wasn't just one defender. But it's obvious that Enzo rates him for his passing. And Suter, while I think he's a decent passer, I think it's the calmness on the ball that Enzo rates over Suter. I think Suter would be a more physical presence in the box. I think he'd probably be better in terms of the offensive capability in the air. Because for some reason, Vestergaard is not that strong for someone that's as tall as him. He gets bodied around. It doesn't make any sense to me either.
No, and you mentioned as well basketball. How does that make sense in basketball? Being able to be that tall and not dunk, that makes like equivalent. It just doesn't really make logical sense, but somehow it happens.
Yeah, he lives it. But at the end of the day, I think also if you're looking at it from the team's perspective, oh, yeah, totally. Cody is going to change this completely because he's also a leader. But when you look at Vestergaard and Suter, you also have to take into account Suter has value. Suter is younger, and he's only been here for a little bit. He hasn't been able to give himself a bad name, quote unquote, Leicester. I know he got relegated with us, but it really didn't have too much to do with him personally. So I think he has more value to sell if we need to raise funds or get funds off the books. Whereas Vestergaard, I think he might be the last year of his contract. I'm not sure. So it's something where maybe the team and the coach have agreed to try to get as much use out of them as they can.
Potentially, and again, recuperate some of that 15 million to push it back into the Premier League. And again, as soon as they're ready as well. You've got some, again, thank you, Chrissy, for tuning in as well. You got some love, you got some people loving you. Again, you've been fantastic, Mike, as well. And just from, again, LCFC Down Under, and shameless plug as well. If you do want to, again, because your Twitter is thingy as well, go and message on Twitter or Instagram. Again, thank you, Mike, for helping out as well. And we'd love to have you on the show as well and get your, because I know you've just started up your channel, LCFC Down Under as well. So love to help you out. Again, if you like, subscribe, make sure you go and follow Mike and check out his podcast. You've probably got one coming out relatively soon as well, haven't you, for this show?
I'm probably gonna have it tomorrow. I guess it's a little later here, or actually it's earlier here in the US. Excuse me, but I got something. I got to write an article and everything, but I will have some content very soon.
No worries. Sounds good. Again, make sure you follow Mike, and we'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.
Goodbye.